Cardinal Pillar number 7 speaks of open, accountable, and corrupt-free government. We want to caution this Council, Speaker, with a proposal that threatens the very essence of accountability and transparency in our government. To consider writing off irregular expenditures is to turn a blind eye to maleficence and mismanagement. It is to condone a culture of impunity where those entrusted with the stewardship of public resources are absolved of their responsibilities. By sweeping irregularities under the mattress like dollars in Palapala Farm Gate, we betray the trust of the very same citizens whom we are duly bound to serve. Furthermore, Speaker, let us not underestimate the ripple effects of such decisions. Writing off irregular expenditures not only undermines the integrity of our financial system, but also sets a dangerous precedent for further conduct. It sends a chilling message that there is no consequences for financial misconduct, emboldening those who seek to exploit our institution for personal gain. So in future, Speaker, let us consider the human cost for our actions. We owe it to the people of the city to ensure that every cent of the public funds is used judiciously and for more betterment of the people in Ekurhuleni. Yet we know the item. Thank you, Speaker.
Thank you, Councillor Reitenbach.
Uncovered. Thank you, Speaker.
Thank you, Councillor Yates.
Sorry, Speaker, it's Councillor Mokoena.
Councillor Mokoena, you have 1 minute and 20 seconds.
Thank you. Let's see if I can make it. Good afternoon, everybody and fellow councillors. Madam Speaker, ACDP is totally shocked that the Sacred Steps Trading and Mzansi Africa were able to get away with winning tenders and then illegally subcontracting out the actual work to Salom project. All they did was to add a markup to Salom project invoices and submit this to the city for payment. Altogether, Ekurhuleni has lost 1.2 million. The ACDP sadly supports the recommendation to write off the money, but would like you to know if Mzansi Africa and Sacred Trading and their directors have been blacklisted. Unfortunately, another 100,000 was wasted when Sacred Steps was taken to court without City of Ekurhuleni being able to produce the invoices or bring Salome project to testify. The responsible officials should be forced to reimburse the city. We would like to request our corporate and legal department to add a clause to all employment contracts that will help monitor and discipline all the contractors. I thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Getsu.
Thank you, Speaker. We note the comments. Maybe a few things to clarify, is the fact that Mr. Mukoni was a project manager. The report is clear that, he was dismissed. And also to clarify the fact that there was an attempt to recover. Before you write off, we'll check also the cost benefit of recovery. And the report is clear on the cost benefit. Already the city would have lost, close to 100,000, and the matter is not, even presented in the court. So the projections are moving from 400 to 700,000. So as MPEG also must be careful of further expenditure. So that's the reason why we're saying, we advise the council, in fact, to say that we can't continue, spending. So it's informed by cost benefit. Thank you, Speaker.
Thank you, Councillor Mketsu. Councillors, we have 3 recommendations on page 111.
Speaker, on AMPAC 02-2024 on page 112.
Councillor Matebula, P. Matebula.
Thank you, Speaker. Greetings to the fellow councillors. All protocol is observed. The DA has noticed a pattern when it comes to the dealing with unlawful, irregular, fruitless and wasteful expenditure in the city. and the Fleet Department in particular. Although the recommendations are progressive in that it requests that the report on the allegations and misconduct be noted, there are usually no accountability measures following the noting of these allegations to ensure that the perpetrators are brought to book for the alleged misconduct. Per the item, the 2019 Circular 68 on unlawful, irregular, fruitless, and wasteful expenditure outlines the processes to respond appropriately to irregular expenditure as follows. 1, disciplinary charges against officials and political office bearers. 2, criminal charges against officials and political office bearers. And 3, the recovery of the irregular expenditure from the liable persons. The DA has noticed that from previous MPEC items, the officials and political office bearers usually resign from their positions before disciplinary and other actions are taken. From the recommendations in the item, it is clear that the recovery of the funds was unsuccessful. Therefore, the measures have to be put in place to prescribe to ensure that justice is served for the misuse of public funds. Or we can simply just be content with proving Albert Einstein's theory of insanity, but just continuing to do the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. Therefore, Speaker, the DA would like to sponsor the following recommendation. 1, that the alleged officials or political office bearers be criminally charged for the alleged irregular expenditure. Proposed by myself, Councillor Patricia Matibula, seconded by Councillor Xolile Khamani. Thank you.
Thank you. Let's have the recommendation. Councillor Mketsu, there's a recommendation that they request that the alleged officials be criminally charged. Ne? You must bear that in mind when you're going to respond. Because last time I got Councillor Sinona.
No, thank you, Speaker. As the ATM Speaker, we note the right of, however, we want to caution the MPEC committee to expedite the work of this right of in order to expedite the consequences management for the culprits. A write-off of an incident that occurred in 2015, 2016 yields a little to nothing for the municipality, given that the process becomes mere compliance on balancing of books. Madam Speaker, therefore, the Committee of the Municipal Public Accounts, we want to urge the swift expedition of the work of the committee to ensure that the council is able to expedite consequences management to the said culprits, because it does not help to still chasing things start 2015, 2026, where else the culprits are gone. Thanks.
Thank you. You may come in, Chairperson.
Thank you, Speaker. Again, we note the comments. Speaker, the body of our report is clear, on what would have happened, in the officials, where the official resigned, in the process of disciplinary hearing. And also, I would just want to clarify that, Speaker, there's a difference between irregular, fruitless, and wasteful. Once the ages, says that the amount is irregular, already it suggests that there is a value for money, but the processes were not followed, adequately. So we must have an understanding. So we're not writing off for the sake of writing off. We write off because those irregular amounts, they still inform our opening balance, and they must be removed there. So once the committee is satisfied that, there is a value for money, then we'll be able to take a decision, which in this case, this is what informed our recommendation. Thank you, Speaker.
Thank you. Councillors, we have 4 recommendations on page 119.
Thank you, Speaker. We're now at APEC 03-2024 on page 120.
Councillor Kotse.
Madam Speaker, as with everything in this council and city, herewith is another example of a broken system and process. The wasteful expenditure patterns in the Department of Environmental Resource and Waste Management has been there for years under the members of the Coalition of Corruption. Now today, we have to approve the writing off of another 26,700,000 rand because the city's appointed Bongani Khoza attorneys lost a counterclaim court case. What is the track record of all the city's appointed list of attorneys firms? Is the city throwing good money after bad? Do we realize the core principle that all government money comes from the people, our residents? We have to do better in all levels of the city to prevent fruitless, wasteful and irregular expenditure. The people's money is not endless, and to quote Margaret Thatcher, the problem of socialism is that you eventually run out of other people's money.
Councillor Mkwethu.
Oh, thank you, Speaker. Speaker, the item was before the council and the decision was taken by the council. However, the item did not comply with Section 32 on the 28th of July 2022. So it comes back on the basis that the amount still reflect on the open balance because we did not comply. So it's coming back to add the Section 22 recommendation. A decision has been taken. So the committee has been there, the chairperson is new, but we'll carry over the work that has been done. We can't reopen and re-debate. So the matter, it's a decision of the council, is done. It's a matter of compliance with Section 32. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Councillor Kotse.
Madam Speaker, I could hardly hear every 2 words because the chairperson was chewing while I'm talking.
Okay, Councillor Kotse, the chairperson says the item had been before council previously. However, in terms of the requirement as per Section 32 of the Municipal Finance Management Act, they had not complied with those processes. Hence, they are bringing the item back to council today.
I understand that, Madam, but in the item, the body of the item, to add that recommendation is that all I'm stating is because one of the city's appointed attorneys lost the court case, that we have to write off another 26 million rand. That was all that was being stated.
Okay.
I wasn't speaking against the item, Madam.
Okay, thank you very much. Councillors, we have 2 recommendations on page 121.
Speaker, we're now on AAC 02-2024, Okmal, on page 123.
Thank you. Councillors, we have 2 recommendations on page 125.
Speaker, we're now on AF01 2024, Okmal, on page 126.
Thank you, councillors. We have 1 recommendation on page 128.
Speaker, we're on item B Corp 14 2024, Okmal, on page 129.
Thank you, councillors. We have 2 recommendations on page 131.
Speaker, the final item is APP 03 2024, on page 133.
Thank you, Councillor A. Davidson.
Thank you, Speaker. All protocols observed. Once again, we have the same Xerox copy of the PPP quarterly report. One wonders whether the city manager, the HODs and the executive have any interest in attending to the needs of the residents. Speaker, perhaps we must also consider acting against any department or official of the city that simply ignores council resolutions, as the city manager has continued to do for a good 2 years at least. It cannot be correct that petitioners are not getting responses on the petitions they submit. Because of the lack of accountability by the city's management, the DA therefore sponsors the following 2 recommendations. Recommendation number 3, that the next standing committee meeting to be held on 19 April 2024 be a hearing with all departments. Recommendation 4, that the city manager and the mayor, whoever that may be, all MMCs and HODs be summoned to the hearing meeting with the PPP committee. This is proposed by myself, Councillor Amanda Davison, and seconded by Councillor Isel Chanel. Thank you.
Thank you. Can we have them, Councillor Davison? Chairperson Moloko.
Thank you very much, Speaker. Speaker, as the committee, we are in a process to convene the HODs to come and account to all the outstanding of the petitions. In the next meeting, all